All right, guys, it's Regional Championship week. Are you ready, Rick?
Absolutely.
Are you ready, Randall?
Let's go.
All right. Rock stars, Randall.
Yes, sir. We're going to start off with Kara Brinkley out in East Burke. She had 30 points against Salisbury Tuesday. East Burke is in the Final Four for the second straight year. Next up is Maddie Kernoodle from Charlotte Catholic. The junior guard hit three very timely threes versus Lake Norman on Friday night, leading them to their Final Four appearance. Kelsey Ryan from Lake Norman, incredible game. She had 20 points and 6 steals Friday versus Catholic. Really tried to get her team back into the game late. Lauren Arnold at West Rowan scored 19 points in their win versus East Lincoln in a very, very rowdy crowd they had out there.
Yeah.
And last but not least, one
Wait,
of
wait, wait.
my
Who have I been telling you all year was the
yeah,
girl?
yeah, yeah.
Who have I been
Lucky
telling you all year was the girl?
we know
Okay. All right.
the professional bucket getter herself, Miss Kate Sears is back with us today. How are you, Kate?
Good. Thank you for having me.
Kate had 30 points versus Mallard Creek and then followed it up with a 16-point performance Friday versus Myers Park, as Watauga will meet Charlotte Catholic in the 4A semis on Thursday afternoon.
Kate, just tell me about your playoff performance so far. Just been really impressed. I mean, every night. I mean, just big game after big game after big game. How have you been able to do it? First final Elite Eight since '97. First Final Four ever.
Yeah, it's been really cool. I mean, I think my teammates throughout the whole season they've hit very timely shots. But I think throughout the playoffs they've really hit big threes and stuff, and that's really opened up the lane for me and just given me the opportunity to kind of get to my spots, to find my teammates, but also to find my spots for myself, and to get shots up. But I think like just if my teammates don't hit those shots and I'm not put in that position. So yeah, they've been very timely and they've stepped up really big.
How do you deal with Charlotte Catholic and all that size that they have? I mean, they're bigger than North Mech even. How do you deal with that size coming up?
Yeah, it's really tough. I mean, we've played them the last few years, and obviously they knocked us out of the playoffs last year, and they're a really good team. I think for us, just kind of game planning how we usually do every game, and we obviously had to change some stuff up for them because of their size, and we're pretty small. But I think we just have to go in there with the mindset like we do it every game, and just be ready to hit shots. And we're just honored to still be playing and to be in this position. And we just hope we can take the momentum that we've been playing with into this week.
Kate, you've had an incredible year, and I think in watching you, the thing that stands out to me the most is just your ability to score at all three levels. I think we always knew like Kate Sears could really shoot the ball, but I think this year more so than other years, you've really shown the ability to get to the pull up game, get to the basket, and still hit threes. Can you talk to us a little bit? Was that a focus this off season, or was it just something that you just knew that you would have to add for this season for you guys to be successful?
I think a little bit of both. I mean, I think last year we lost three very valuable seniors. So just coming into this season, losing them, and then also with the new coach, just knowing that I was going to have to step up for my team, but also just this off season, just focusing on expanding my game so I can score from all three levels. I think that was a big emphasis for me, and I feel like I've done a pretty good job just getting to my spots, whether that's the three, the mid range, or getting all the way to the rim.
Just curious, I know you got a long time before you make this decision, but what are you looking for in the college program? Is there any kind of lean right now of, 5 or 6 programs you might really like?
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely, kind of narrowed the list a little bit, but I'm still pretty much open. I think I'm just trying to really just figure out what exactly I'm looking for, but I think I just want, a very good relationship around the basketball community and just kind of that coaching staff and how it is with the players and just kind of visiting different places and just looking and seeing those dynamics in person because obviously it's a lot different over the phone and stuff. So just trying to schedule official visits and go out and see different places to figure all that out.
Yeah. And Kay, you're what, like 5'9"?
Yeah, 5'9", 5'10".
Yes, yes. I mean, you can be able to play multiple positions in college. Look, best of luck to you. Looking forward to watching you play
Thank
on
you.
Thursday. Randall's buying wings before the game, so we'll be good and full when we get there to watch you play. And best of luck to you guys. All right.
Thank you. Thanks for
All right.
having me.
All right. Take care. Absolutely, absolutely. Take care, Kate. All right, Randall. I've been trying to tell you. You don't listen.
You have been right, Langston.
She's the leading candidate for Miss Basketball next year. Her and Cam Kitchen. I'm saying it right now.
That's really going out on a limb right there, Langston. Lord,
hey man, Rick, am I consistent, Rick? Have I said those two names all year long?
You've mentioned her name since day one.
Since day one, and Elstone too, and Malik Creek. Those are three right there.
Every week.
Every week, because they dog my girls. I'm trying to like put the truth out there. All right, Rick, boys, players of the week.
We're going to start off with 6'6" sophomore Terrace Bowie. Bowie scored a career high for him at Chambers, scoring 40 points in an upset win at Weddington, and he's one of the top sophomores in the state. And after his performance against Weddington, he received an offer from Wake Forest to the ACC. And expect this young man's recruitment to explode during the summer. And, like I said in the show on Spaces the other day, I said his body type reminds me of Isaiah Evans. I'm not saying he's going to be Isaiah Evans, but his body type reminds me a lot of him, and they have a lot of similarities. Next up, we have just Lake Norman High School, the team. There's an old saying, teamwork makes the dream work. And I've talked about Lake Norman before as far as being a very balanced team. In the win over Chambers to advance to the Final Four, I want to get this right. We had Trent Steinauer with 19, Trey McKinnon 19, Josh Yates 14, Santana Litch 12, and Nick Arnold 11. And that is a lot of balance. And Lake Norman moves to 29-2, and will play North Mecklenburg for the Western 4A State Regional Championship. Next up is a young man, DJ Kent, 6'7", commitment to Lee's McCrae. This young man, and we said it before, this young man was the sixth man on the team last year. They go into the state last year, and he ends up being the MVP. In their game, this last week, he had a tremendous game. He had 31 points, 14 rebounds, and 8 block shots. And he is really a legitimate player. I'm very surprised that D1 schools haven't gone after him, but he's going to have a great college career. Next up, what can we say about Isaiah Evans? I think, in our Spaces show, we asked a question, what does Isaiah Evans have to do for North Meck to win? And I said he has to score 40 plus. He scored 48. And, he scored 35 points in the second half, 21 points in the third quarter, and 21 straight points. I've said it before. This young man is flamboyant. He's confident. He plays with a chip on his shoulder. He is a 5-star alpha dog. And last up, just like on the theme for Lake Norman, we have this theme also for Corvian Community, coached by Ron Murphy. All 5 players scored in double figures. And the great thing about it is, out of his top 7 leading scorers, only 1 senior.
All right, here's my question, Coach Murphy, and tell the truth. Did you really think in year 2 you could be in the Final Four?
I did not. I thought we'd be competitive this year because we have a lot of juniors and 1 senior, but not in my wildest dreams did I think we'd be in the Final Four in year 2.
How have you done it?
Our kids just work. We've got a few football players, so they're used to hard work, and our guys trust each other. I think that's the biggest thing. They, last year was my first year, and you talk about culture and you talk about things, and we're just trying to figure each other out. We had a really good year. We went to the Sweet 16 last year, won our conference, a lot of good stuff, but it was still kind of getting to know each other. And then this year, we just committed to each other. We don't lie to each other. If we're going left, we're all going left. If left didn't work, we'll try right, but we're all doing everything together. And so that's been huge for us this year.
Coach, I have a question. What lessons did you learn from travel ball that you carried over to the high school level? And what was the biggest adjustment you had to occur making that adjustment?
The thing that from the years of AAU that I think really helped me and have helped us is I don't mind trying stuff on the fly. There'll be times in a game where we're having some trouble or we're, something's just not clicking, and I'll just be like, hey, let's try this. And again, it kind of goes back to the trust with my guys. In our semifinal game in the conference tournament, the team was playing a defense that was confusing everybody. I was calling zone plays. My point guard was calling man plays. The fans in the stands were screaming, what are they doing? And we got through it. We managed. But at halftime, kind of my AAU experience, we just drew up a different set that we'd never done before. We ran it 5 straight times. We had a counter to it, and we scored 5 of the first 7 possessions, and then they got out of that defense. So a lot of my buddies who are high school coaches and have been only high school coaches, I don't know that they would feel comfortable doing that.
Yeah.
One last question, Coach. You're going to be playing South Stokes. What do you know about them, and how do you think you match up against them?
I know a little bit about them. They don't put any stats on Max Preps. It's hard to find film on them, but we worked and got a little bit. They have 3 really. Their team is talented. They're 29-1, so and it's a group effort. But they have and I'm bad with. I don't do names. I do numbers. But they've got 0-1, 2 guards, about 6'3", 6'4", extremely athletic. They've got a kid inside who looks like he's about 6'5", maybe 6'6". He's number 5. And every time I do get film on him, one of those guys is tearing the rims down. So they've got the 2 other starters are really good shooters. They're spaced the floor, number 22 and 23. We match up pretty well size-wise. They might be a little more athletic as far as getting off the floor, but our guys are physical. We got a bunch of guys with big shoulders that don't mind using them. So we'll just try to play to our strengths and take something away from them and hope that's enough.
Ron, before I let you go, I had a question. Your son, Quan, played high-level basketball in the private schools. You're very familiar with 4A basketball. Now you're coaching 1A basketball. Is there a huge gap between 1A and 4A, or is it smaller than most people might believe?
I think the kind of like mid-major basketball conferences, I think the top of the league and the top teams could probably go into a 4A conference and compete. May not win the conference, but they probably wouldn't come in the bottom of the conference. But when you get to the, some of the lower teams, it's the gap then is huge. The gap between North Mech and, a team that might have been 30th or 31st in 1A is huge. But some of the film I've watched, especially from the teams out east, I think some of those teams out east could come and play anywhere in Charlotte on a Tuesday or Friday night.
That's phenomenal.
Man, before we let Murph go, I got to ask Murphy a real question that Langston's not going to ask you. Murph, you coached AAU like you said. I know you coached a lot versus Langston. So my question is, who leads the series between you and Langston?
Man, I'm probably 1-5, man. I'm probably 1-5.
Oh, man.
1-5.
Now I don't talk about myself a whole lot, but I'm a 93% winning percentage in my age. But true story. Murphy was one of the first dudes that got me in the AAU. You remember that we were in Winston-Salem and I was asking you all the questions about what to do and how to do it. I mean, he and Kevin Liggins started me. I'm talking early 90s. And
long time ago,
helping me.
But when I got him, we both ended up at the same restaurant. I can't remember, and we ended up at the same restaurant. I kind of looked over at him, gave him one of these.
but like I said, man, he helped me get started. We got bitter for a minute, but it's all love in the end.
It was competitive bitterness. It wasn't anything crazy. Yeah, nothing crazy. We just had to stop Trey Works. Yeah. That was all it was.
Hey, Murph, been there, done that before.
Hey, can I tell a really quick Trey Works story?
Absolutely.
Really quick. And I don't think I've ever told you this. First time I ever saw Trey, it was at the First Carolina courts. And I walk in, and I think he was a grade down from where our kids with the Spiders. So I'm walking over to court 2, and this lady is screaming. She's screaming, watch number 2, watch number 2, watch number 2. So I'm like, this number 2 must be nice. So ball was on the other side of the court, is swinging to number 2. She's losing her mind. Number 2 catches the ball, smooth 3-pointer. Next possession, same thing, same lady screaming. So I'm like, who is this number 2 kid? And they're like, that's Trey Works. And that's the first time I ever saw him. And he's been watched number 2 ever since for me.
Murphy, the first time I coached against him, he hit a game winner from about 40 feet. And I shook his hand and told him great job. And the next time I played him, sent a double at him the whole game, and he still does not let me live it down to this day.
You got to do it.
That's true. Murphy, man, thanks for coming on with us, Ron. Good luck. We'll see you up in Winston-Salem on Monday, 8 o'clock.
Hey, thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate
Murphy,
it.
I did want to tell you, your son Quan told me to tell you hello.
All right, thank you. I appreciate that.
And I'm glad to see he's following your footsteps.
He's taking the coaching bug, so we'll see how it goes.
Absolutely. All right, Ron, take care of yourself, man.
Thank you.
You guys get to talking on that with Coach Murphy. All right, let's put Rick in the back, give him a break. We're going to talk a little girls basketball. All right, Alex, we're going to talk about the girls 1A pairings here. Tell me what you see on the eastern side.
But East Bladen and East Columbus always have been in the mix in terms of opportunities to be competitive. You look at a place like East Bladen, which does have a legacy with Coach Patty Evers through the years. So an opportunity here. I think the notable detail for whomever comes out of this battle right here, Bladen and Columbus counties, which are down toward the southern border of the state. Bladen County, not too far from Fayetteville, Cumberland County, Columbus County, closer toward the beach a little bit in the Whiteville area. So two traditional programs who have been in the shadow of Bishop McGuinness, who is not in the West this year.
Yeah. Who knocked Bishop out?
I was Cherokee. Cherokee.
That was a 1-point game a year ago, and so I guess they really took it to heart and got over the hump.
Well,
yeah, absolutely. Well,
I mean,
Alex, take me to the eastern side. North Pitt and Seaforth is Zamrod Jones.
We could talk about Ms. Jones all we want to, and she is absolutely wonderful. A McDonald's All-American, the latest in the line out of stars at North Pitt, going all the way back to Najanique Langley, who took North Pitt to a state final back in 2018. If you really want to know about Ms. Jones, go back in defeat at the end of the John Wall Holiday Invitational, where she was speaking when asked about her place in the program's legacy. She was the first to speak about Najanique Langley, but she also spoke about her current teammate, North Pitt freshman Jordan Speller, 16.7 points per game, 69% from the field, 6 assists, 4 steals per game. And Ms. Jones said, Jordan's going to be better than both of us. Wow, that tells you a lot right there.
That's
and
a big
Jordan Speller is the X factor in this game.
All right.
Seaforth, as a state finalist, returns intact from last season and will have an opportunity. But what Jordan Speller brings to the table in this offense for North Pitt will be the X factor in putting North Pitt in a position to get over that hump and get back to a state final.
That sounds like the bigger of the two regional games with Lincoln Charter and East Burke, undefeated East Burke on the other side. That could be one heck of a state final for East Burke and North Pitt. That could be one heck of a state final. Let's look ahead to the 3A and 4A girls. And what do you see, Randall, with the 3A Western side, with West Rowan trying to win back-to-back?
This is actually going to be a very, very interesting matchup. I told people all season long that AC Reynolds, they might not be the most talented group, but they play really, really hard, and they get after it on both ends of the floor. West Rowan, obviously a super talented team, making it back. So I think that they're two kind of contrasting styles, but I think both teams are going to, they'll get after each other, and it should be interesting Tuesday afternoon to see who comes on top on this one.
And the other side, we got South Central and Terry Sanford should be a good matchup. But then flipping over, Alex, to the Eastern 4A, Hoggett looks really strong, going to play a Roseville team for the regional championship. What do you see there?
I had an opportunity to watch Roseville on Friday night. Up-tempo team, has great speed from baseline to baseline, wants to get you in the transition game. And Roseville has a guard named Caitlin Jones who can control the tempo of the game very, very well. She's very explosive in the open court. And if it comes down to spread the floor and keep the ball away kind of situation, then she knows how to create separation from her defender to get out of the 5 count and really wind down the clock if it comes down to that. The one chink in the armor for Roseville, and Roseville coach Nikita Warren spoke about this after the game on Friday. is Rolesville, in its win over Chapel Hill, was 6 of 17 from the free throw line in that game. Okay. She's like, we will be shooting 1,000 free throws in practice on Monday. She made no bones about it.
I get it.
That could be the only issue. And if I remember correctly, it was like 1 of 12 in the fourth quarter. When you need,
you gotta do better than that if you're gonna win the state championship. Christy, we had Kate Sears on. We talked about Blanca Thomas a lot. In my opinion, 2 of the 5 best players in North Carolina. Watauga's a lot shorter than Catholic. I think we're going to see more of that 2-3 zone. What do you think there?
I definitely think so. I think this is going to be the rematch of the year, where back at John Wall, Charlotte Catholic beat Watauga by, I think, 10 or 12 points. I'm sure both teams look a lot different now, 2 months later. Watauga is definitely a hot team right now. I mean, knocking off North Meck, Mallard Creek, Myers Park, which are 3 really good teams that could have been right here in this round, making it to the state championship game as well. So Watauga is a hot team. Kate Sears is just unbelievable. I love watching her play. She has to be one of the smartest players that I've ever seen. And, wow. She will draw 2 defenders, kick it out, find the right pass to make. I mean, she's not a ball hog. She's, almost averaging a triple-double. I mean, just unbelievable. So, depends on, I think it's a toss-up. Is it going to be the size, the physicality in the game? Is it going to be quickness? Who's going to hit the shots next week? I mean, it's tough. I can't go between. I can't tell you which one's going to win. I think both of them have a really good shot.
Gary, I say it all the time. You can't let a shooter start seeing the ball go through the hole. It's harder. I always talk when I used to coach. I said, so who's going to turn the faucet off? It's hard to turn the faucet off once it gets running. You can't let Kate Sears see the ball go through the hole.
Yeah, Kate Sears reminds me a lot of Luka Doncic. Like you say, she'll get in the lane and she'll turn, she'll start backing people down a little bit. Good size. And once that double comes, she can find the open person. And her teammates have been knocking down threes. They've had very close games until the fourth quarter. And then they have blown teams out.
They shot the lights out in the fourth quarter last year.
Yeah, they can shoot that ball outside. And so it's a pick your poison. Do you want to stop Kate and try to make the rest of them beat you, or are you going to play honest and not help and see can she beat you by herself? Catholic's guards are very good defensively. They've gone up against some tough guards lately. They've held their own against Independence guards. They've held their own against Lake Norman's guards. So Catholic has experience against a guard-dominated lineup. So it's going to be a very good matchup. I just want to see how Watauga is going to be able to stop Blanca.
Randall, Blanca Thomas, finals for men's basketball, has led Catholic to 3 straight regional championships so far. They've not won one. This is her last year. We've all been waiting for that 45-28 performance. She's capable of it. Is this the time we see it?
No, it's not going to happen. And I don't disagree with Coach Mitchell because everybody keeps telling me that Watauga's going to play zone, Watauga's going to play zone. I don't think they're going to play zone. I think Lake Norman had the right strategy. They just weren't able to execute on Friday. I think they're going to double and triple her all night long. I think they're going to have one person just freelancing and hanging on to her, and as soon as she catches that ball, they're going to send 2 more extra bodies at her. That seems like what everybody's been going with throughout the last week. This is the 3rd or 4th time in the last 2 years that these teams have met. So I don't think it's going to be one of those games where they're going to try to guard Blanca straight up, because I don't think they can. The interesting matchup to me is going to be Kate McCardle versus Kate Sears. And Kate is the defender who she's one of those kids where she doesn't have a problem just being in your face. She understands the game. And so I could see them coming out and saying, listen, Kate, if Sears gives up the ball, or if Sears doesn't have the ball, we are full out deny. You don't look at anybody else. You literally know what she had for lunch today. And just, attack her that way.
All right. Well, let's flip this over and look at the 1A, 2A boys. Rick, we got Wilson Prep back again on the eastern side. And Bertie, is anybody going to stop Wilson Prep from winning? You're on mute, Rick. Rick, you got to unmute your mic. We can't hear you.
Sorry about that. I think it's Wilson Preps to lose. Bertie is a pretty good team. I think they dropped a little bit in the RPI due to I think they had one or two games that they had to forfeit. But they're a very strong team in the East. But Wilson Prep is on a different level, and we've said that from the beginning of the year, and it's the same thing at the end of the year.
Well, we heard the breakdown from Coach Murphy on South Stokes and Corbian. Let's move over to the eastern side, Rick. Farmville Central's playing Goldsboro. I think half of the eastern side of state might be at that game on Wednesday night.
Well, again, we look at the RPI, seeding. We have the number one team, which is going to be Farmville Central, going against the number two team, which is Goldsboro. Both of them are, battle tested, and the thing that Farmville Central has in its favor is the experience factor. They've been there before, so I think the advantage goes to Farmville Central.
Tell me about Reidsville and Salisbury. Is Reidsville going to stay unbeaten?
Well, Reidsville, they went to the state championship last year and lost. I think they have that in the back of their mind, and they think they want to get back to that championship game. And, they have an opportunity, especially with their two players that, the two sophomores, they played on the state football team. So it would be very unique and a great situation for both those young players to win both a football state championship and a basketball state championship, and that doesn't happen very often. Salisbury has Jalen Jude Harris, which is going to Wake Forest. I just don't think they have the inside-outside game to compete with Reidsville.
Wow.
Okay. I would like to add that I do believe that Wednesday, with the 2A boys and girls competing, will be arguably the best celebration of education-based athletics in the semifinal days. If you look at it, so you have a McDonald's All-American, Ms. Jones from North Pitt. You have a Wake Forest signee in Mr. Harris from Salisbury. You have a defending state champion in Farmville Central. And you have the whole town of Reidsville right down the road, which is going to be there for the pursuit of. Obviously, we know about Harrison and Neal, the dynamic sophomore duo. All five of those starters for Reidsville were starters on the football state championship team, like Rick mentioned. And just the community spirit there that you're going to see. So boys and girls, McDonald's All-American, Wake Forest signee, a whole town coming out, a defending state champion, multi-sport participation. I think that could be the day in terms of event of all the semifinal days.
Well, I'm going to disagree with you a little bit on that being the day, but let's talk about the Eastern Regional Rig 71st playing Westover in 3A.
Well, Westover and 71st have been the two, premier teams out of Fayetteville. And, they've played each other during the course of the season. And, Westover's been, victorious over 71st. But it goes into a situation where you play a team so many times. You know the team very, very well. It's just a matter of who's going to be hitting the shots that particular day. But, that's a great matchup for the city of Fayetteville. You got the number 2 seed versus the number 4 seed in 71st.
Yeah, and then Battle of Unbeatens. What's going to happen here? Is it going to be 100 to 101?
Yeah, if it's over, in the 70s, I think it's Central Cabarrus. You have number 1 Hickory, which is undefeated, going against Central Cabarrus, which is 31-0, which is undefeated as well. I think the key for this, and we've mentioned this before, Central Cabarrus is such a unique team. They're the most unique team in the state of North Carolina, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. And also Hickory is very well coached, just like Central Cabarrus. The key to this game is Hickory is going to have to control the tempo and not get forced in and being sped up during the course of the game. If Central Cabarrus speeds you up and gets you out of your pace and your rhythm, it could be a long night for Hickory. But if Hickory can keep the game in the 40s and the 50s, then they have a legitimate shot to make the upset.
All right. 4A East, New Hanover, 31-0. We're going to play Paul McNeil and Richmond Senior. What's going to happen there, Rick?
it's a situation. I know New Hanover is undefeated, and they got a nice, pair of, underclassmen guards. But I think this is a situation which I made earlier, with Isaiah Evans. I think Isaiah Evans is a type of player who can single-handedly carry a team to the state championship. I think the same thing can be said about Paul McNeil. I think Paul McNeil wants to be in the same conversation as Isaiah Evans. I think they're both very good competitors, are very strong in that regard. And Paul McNeil, I think, wants to prove something too. He has a chip on his shoulder. If you look at his stat line, he's averaging 32 points a game, almost 10 rebounds, over 5 assists, and, 3 or 4 steals. So I think it's a situation where, I think Richmond County has probably played just a tad tougher schedule. I think both of them are really battle tested, but I'm just going to go with Paul McNeil, the NC State commit, in this particular game.
All right, and then the Lake Norman North Met game, Gary. What do you see there?
I see the best player that Mecklenburg County has ever produced in Isaiah Evans. Wow. And yes, I said that. And Lake Norman, which plays a total team game and has an outstanding post player and 6'10". What's his last name? Can't pronounce it.
Steinauer.
Yes, Steinauer. He is a force in the middle. So it'll be and don't think that I'm not saying North Mecklenburg doesn't play as a team, because they do. And Trey Maxwell played a big role the other night. Just his presence on the court created openings for Isaiah. So but the way Isaiah is playing right now, I got to go with North Meck. And, I got a little bias, being that's where I graduated from.
This is true. Rick, how big a deal was it that Santana Lynch went to this? Everybody talked about Lake Norman next year, because they got all these juniors. But here goes a senior who just played on the state championship team in Myers Park, takes that experience. And, oh, by the way, he's a good player, too. His daddy was a pro.
He's a very good player, but I think the thing that he's brought to Lake Norman this year is senior leadership. And especially early on when they were battle tested and went up against some very tough teams early, like, Cannon, Davison Day, those type of teams. I think he has been in that situation, and I think he provided a lot of senior leadership and helped them project to where they are today. I don't think Lake Norman would be sitting there at 28-2 if it wasn't for Santana Lynch.
No, that's a great point. They could be sitting on 2 state championships in a row pretty easily. All right, Christy, are you ready? You got to come off mute to tell me you're ready.
I'm ready.
No, you weren't ready.
I am now.
You ready now? I'm not ready. I don't have your music. Here we go.
What's up, guys? So today we're going to jump around a little bit. My first question to you, as college coaches are building their programs, what do you think is better, to recruit the kids that are going to be one and done, or to recruit kids that are going to be in your program?
You won last night, Gary. Go ahead. You can go first.
Okay. I think it's better to recruit kids that have long-term prospects. As Randall just mentioned, he is referring to the fact that Carolina beat Duke last night. And as I tell my Duke friends, the reason they were able to sweep Duke this year is they're just physically stronger and mentally more experienced than the Duke.
Because they have a bunch of 24 and 25-year-olds on the team.
Right. They have older kids.
Yeah, okay.
And Duke, every year they win the recruiting championship. And I don't know if they post banners in Cameron, we're the best. We got the number one recruits. They won it again this year, but they're still 18 years old. And when you're playing with a lot of freshmen, their bodies haven't completely matured yet. They don't have the experience. They have the talent, but they don't have the physical maturity or experience. And so I think teams that are more experienced and have the physical maturity plus talent are better off than teams that are just loaded with one and done players.
I think the thing about having a one and done loaded team is you have to have veterans around them. And so if you're going to be, say, for instance, Duke this year, you're going to have to go get a big out of the portal. You're going to have to go get, a guard out of the portal to be able to mentor those young kids and help with their development on the floor. So I don't disagree with you, and I think we're going to learn here in the next month just how important it is. I think the older teams, the Tennessees, the Carolinas, the UConns, the Arizonas, those are teams that I expect to make deep runs in March Madness, and a lot of it has to do with they're older and they're going to be more experienced.
Okay, so this week starts championship week. We have regional finals on March 11th, 12th, 13th, and 14th, state championship on the 15th and 16th. What do you think about this new week-long regionals and state championship schedule?
I wanted to ask Coach Murphy about that earlier today, but we didn't get to it. It's going to be interesting. I think for somebody like him, where you're in 1A, and now we play on Monday, and we have this long break until Saturday if we win. It's going to be interesting to see how it's broken up from a coach's standpoint. The part that really concerns me, though, is what these administrators and teachers are going to do as far as, kids getting out of school. Are they going to be able to be fans at this Watauga Charlotte Catholic game on Thursday because they play at 2 p.m.? That's the interesting part to me, and I feel like they deserve to have fans, and that's my biggest concern.
Yeah, selfishly, I'm thinking, okay, what days am I going to have to take off this week to go watch the games that I want to see? And as with the 4A playing on Thursday, they don't get the same preparation time that the 1A teams are going to have. They're going to play on Thursday. The winners will get home late Thursday, and they probably are just going to have time to have a walkthrough and a film session on Friday before, because you want them to have some recovery time, and then they have to turn around and go back up and play on Saturday. So I don't like that time period that the 4A teams have between games. I think it's better for those teams that are going to be playing on Tuesday and on Wednesday. They have recovery time, they have more practice time, but at the same time, they're probably thinking, okay, well, we just played on Friday. We didn't get to practice. You can't meet on Sunday. They'll have practice time on Monday, and then they have to turn around and play on Tuesday. So it just depends on your point of view. How much recovery time do you need between and preparation time between the games you had Friday or the games that you'll have on Thursday?
I definitely agree with both of you and think that, the time frame, like Randall was talking about, is tough. I mean, we talked last week about having sellout crowds and people, not being able to get tickets. Now you have a huge gym, a huge venue, and it's going to be empty because people are at work and at school. So I think that is going to be interesting. So last question, where does Isaiah Evans rank among the best that you've seen at any level?
Go ahead, Randall.
I mean, it was an elite level performance. I mean, I put it up there with, the best scoring performances I've seen. I've seen, Kobe Bryant score 81. I've seen Carmelo Anthony at Syracuse score, go on a rampage to get his team to the national championship game. In high school, I've seen Trey Wirtz put on a masterful performance in his team's private school final. Isaiah's performance Friday night is up there amongst one of the best performances I've ever seen. Extremely tough shots, off balance. And the fact, we talked about, he scored 21 straight. And imagine how selfless you have to be as a teammate to sit here and say, hey, guys, we need to go keep feeding this guy the ball. I give a lot of credit to the supporting cast at North Meck for continuing to give him the ball during that stretch and not get into their feelings about, oh, I haven't shot it. It says a lot about Dwayne Lewis and his team this year.
Totally agree.
As I commented Friday night and yesterday in our group chat, it's the best I've ever seen in high school. And I think he's the best player to ever come out of Mecklenburg County. And Alex is going to argue with me about some others. The other two people we talk about in our group chat are Jason Parker from West Charlotte, who led them to a state championship, and Antoine Jameson, who was at Providence High School and went on to be an All-American at Carolina and a lottery pick in the NBA and had a long NBA career. And my arguments were regarding those two. Jason played a dependent position where he needed a guard to get him the ball in the post before he could dominate. Antoine, he didn't play with great players at Providence. I was at Providence when Antoine was there, so I got to see him every day in practice and games. And Antoine had a mid-range game and a post game, and he was a great rebounder. But Isaiah plays on three levels. He can post up, he has mid-range, and of course he can shoot the three. And he doesn't need anybody to get him the ball. He can bring it up himself and initiate the offense. So being that he can play on three levels, and I watched him, he actually took the heart from Myers Park. They tried everything. They tried all three D1s guarding him, and he abused all three of them. That was the best performance that in my almost 40 years of watching high school basketball in Charlotte that I've ever seen against quality competition. And that's why I say he's the best player to ever come out of Mecklenburg County. Now, Alex is going to talk about Walter Davis and Bobby Jones. Well, none of us saw him. Maybe Rick saw him, but I didn't see him in high school.
That doesn't take away.
I saw him in college.
That doesn't take away.
No offense, Rick, but I saw him in college and I saw him in college, but I didn't.
That doesn't take away from that greatness, though, just because we didn't see him. But I think the one thing I say about Isaiah, Myers Park had given up 24, 28, and 48 points as a team. He scored 48 as an individual, and Myers Park was the number 4 ranked team in the country. And they had one of the best defenses I think I've seen. I was there maybe 2 or 3 that I've seen that are comparable in the past 30 years. So that was a very impressive performance. But I had a question, Alex. I'm gonna give you 1 minute because I do have to get out of here. 1 minute. Should CMS have moved that game on Friday? Because we heard a lot of people talking about they couldn't get in, and as soon as they logged in to buy the tickets were all gone.
All right, I'm going to begin with full disclosure. It's widely known I do not believe in home court advantage. It's widely known that I would have moved the game, and it's widely known that I'm bothered by how much money Myers Park and North Mecklenburg left on the table in terms of funds that could have benefited further programming and acquisition of capital resources to help foster new opportunities for student athletes in education-based athletics. That being said, what I really want to focus on is the reality that after last year's state semifinal at Providence, it was known that there was a problem here. It was known that both North Mecklenburg and Myers Park would have at least 4 returning high major prospects, and the likelihood of a late state playoff encounter between the two of them again a year later was known a year ago. We have no evidence or no record of any type of school-based initiated narrative by North Mecklenburg, Myers Park, or anyone else reaching out to Erica Turner or other Charlotte Mecklenburg School Central Office officials about months ago, we have a problem. What could our options be going forward in terms of a range of dates that we can see what our options might be to consider for a situation like this? It's very concerning when you realize that tickets went on sale at 1 o'clock on a school day. That creates a situation in which students at any school, let alone North Mecklenburg and Myers Park, students who were taking tests or engaged in any form of assessment were eliminated automatically from accessing those tickets, which sold out in, I'll say, just a few minutes, but it was actually closer to 1 minute. So anyone taking a test was a student doing what we asked them to do was eliminated from that. We're counting on the possibility that parents anywhere can stop on the dime at 1 o'clock from whatever their professional circumstances were and buy a ticket. We're counting on all of those things. So we were bordering on issues of elitism, issues of socioeconomic discrimination, and issues of we're penalizing students for doing what we asked them to do as students, when a larger venue could have opened the door for us to foster access to those tickets, foster access to means by which people who wanted to support these teams could have a better chance of doing so, and create a financial base that could have led to additional resources and programming opportunities conducive to student achievement and furthering the mission of education-based athletics.
All right, those opinions are the opinions of Alex Bass. They do not represent the Charlotte Observer. That's Alex Bass. Christy Mitchell, shout outs.
I see that I just want to give a shout out to all the boys and girls wrapping up their seasons. I see a lot of all conference teams coming out, all district teams, players of the year, coach of the year. I just want to say congratulations to everybody. And we look forward to the last week of basketball season.
All right. Randall, final thoughts. Your final thoughts.
I just want to say congratulations to North Mech. Friday night was truly incredible for the city of Charlotte. An amazing game played by both teams. But like I mentioned earlier, the fact that those kids from North Mech were so selfless, and you could tell that they just wanted to win the basketball game. And to continue to give a guy who's on fire to basketball for consecutive possessions to where he scores 21 points in a row, it says a lot about them. I understand that everybody's going to talk about Isaiah Evans and how incredible he was. And he was. He was magnificent, one of the best performances I've ever seen. But the supporting cast and his teammates did an awesome job as well, because you have to be willing to say, all right, we're going to let this guy go crazy in order for us to get to the Final Four. Trey Maxwell out there playing on one leg. I think that really gave his team a boost. He made some big shots early. And so I think, obviously the headlines and all the stories that people come out with are going to be about Isaiah. But I think the rest of the big kudos to the rest of the team as well.
Hey, Jerome, bud.
Hey, is this our last show?
This is our last show of the season. Yes, ma'am.
Wow.
This is it.
This is what I'm going to miss next week is I go to bed a lot earlier than y'all do, and I wake up every morning and I feel loved because I have like 100 missed text messages from our group chat.
Yeah, we do talk a lot on the group chat, but I want to thank everybody for watching the show this year. It's been great, super enjoyable. We got the best cast in the world. Love to have Coach Mitchell back. She's the voice of reason, she's like the voice on my shoulder that keeps me sane and keeps me on straight and narrow, because I can kind of veer off a little bit. And she says, Langston, you need to think about this. Like, yeah, Coach, you're right. So I appreciate you, Coach, being back with us. Alex, as always. Gary, as always. Rick, the number one voice of high school basketball. I tell you guys that week in, week out. You guys have no idea how much he does for you, that you have no idea about, promoting you to colleges with his rankings, with his tournaments and all of that stuff. People ask me all the time, where should I put my money? What should I do? I think Phenom, I paid my own money to send my kids to Phenom, and it worked out for both of them. I think that's a thing I would support and would encourage others to support. There's a lot of things I would not support, but that's one I would. And if you ever need training, the best trainer I know, I say it every week, is Randall Clark. So this is why I asked these guys to come together and be part of this show. And I hope you guys enjoy it. We'll be back, 6-7 months, and we'll do it again. So thanks a lot for watching, and I'm out.
Thank you all.
Bye, guys.
Thank you, guys. Been fun.